Now, I don't attend all that many formal events these days, but when I do, and when I've got the chance to dress up fancy, I normally throw one of these two on. Now, these are the Orient Bambino Small Seconds 38mm. They're really nice, pretty affordable mechanical dress watches with this very elegant retro design. Absolutely my favourite dress watch design, I'd say, especially if you don't want to spend too much money, because that's the thing with dress watches, you don't find yourself wearing them every day really, unless you're in a particular business where you're wearing a suit 24/7. But yeah, if you don't want to spend much, it's hard to look past these. And today I'll be unboxing a new version of one of these that could be even better somehow. And these have kindly been loaned in by TUS Watches, so thanks to them. And I've actually got, I think, 3 in here in total, with one obvious modification. But I think there's also another version of the 40mm Bambino in here, in quite an intoxicating colour that I requested to take a look at. So yeah, all these watches will be affiliate linked in the video description if you want to check them out for yourself. And it's worth noting that TUS Watches recently launched their loyalty program, where not only can you get 15% off your very first purchase, you can also earn points equal to 10% of your purchase value. So for example, a £300 watch would earn you 300 points, or effectively £30 off a future purchase, which is quite significant, especially in a market where everything else seems to be going up. Now, as you might have gathered from the sleeve here, this isn't retail packaging. This is just sample packaging sent across, just to save money on shipping. So these are actually all in one box. But yeah, in here we've got 2 versions of that small second Bambino, as well as a third one, like a larger one, in a pretty bright colour. Oh, actually, it set me more than I expected. Yeah, it looks like we've got almost every single version of this new one here. So yeah, thanks, Tom. We can have a look at every single colour, I guess. And this new design is a bit of a hybrid in a way, because it looks like one of their bigger models. Is it the V2 standard Bambino? But it's got the sizing and also some features off of that one I've just shown you. Well, that applies for these 4 anyway. We'll move this one across for later. This one looks very similar to the one I've already been wearing a lot. And I'll let you eyeball the differences. So here they are side by side, incredibly similar colour scheme. This one on the left originally did come with a strap not too dissimilar from the one on the right here. Now, there's one obvious difference here, and that being the absence of this small seconds complication on the right. This one just has your typical sweeping seconds hand, as some of you probably prefer. But it's not just that. There's also another minor change, one which I probably appreciate a bit more, because for the seconds hand, I personally probably would rather go with this one on the left. But this one on the right has no date window, as you can see. And for me, when it comes to dress watches at least, that's the no-brainer choice. Because like I said, you're not exactly wearing a dress watch every day. And not only have you then got to wind the watch when you pick it out of the drawer, but you then got to set the date too. So yeah, maybe it's a bit of laziness in me, but I like not having to bother with that. And also I like the symmetry that you just get as a result of getting rid of that. Now there's also another change too. You can see there on the Orient logo on each of them that the automatic text is bigger for whatever reason on the one on the right and it is on the one on the left. Now personally, I think I also do prefer the one on the left, even if it's really difficult to read. I like the way that it kind of creates that little V shape above the hands, whereas you don't really get that with this newer model. That's not to say it's not a good looking watch. Oh yeah, sorry about this by the way, I blasted myself with some super glue the other day, but here it is, the new No Date 38mm Bambino, and compared to the previous 38mm Bambino, the one that wasn't small seconds, I definitely think this one looks much better. Absolutely looks like a higher quality piece for whatever reason. And I've always been a fan of the blue hands on these models too. That's a bit of pizzazz, dare I say, whereas some other models in the range are a little bit illegible. As for the rest of the watch here, well, it's pretty standard fare if you're familiar with Bambinos. Got a 316L stainless steel case here, and it is, aside from the crystal, very thin indeed. We'll get the exact measurements in a moment. Under the hood, what movement have we got this time? F6524 it says here on the TUS site. Not the absolute quietest movement I've heard, but not bad. Maybe a little bit quieter than the Miyota 8000 series. And the rotor action looks to be bi-directional too, and very responsive rotor action there, so should be pretty good at self-winding. But if you wanted to, you can hand wind this movement here using the crown to get it started. And if I pop the crown out here, it should Yep, stop the seconds hand dead. And that movement is fractionally different from this one here in the small seconds watch. This one says F622 on the back. But either way, on a dress watch, I always find it quite cool to be able to show your relatives the inner workings of a watch, especially when most people seem to be wearing a lot of smarter watches these days, or at most quartz watches. It's a fun little novelty. As for the specs on this one, you get that crazy domed crystal on these watches, so pretty steep, has this cool warp effect. This one is only a mineral crystal, so it won't be as scratch resistant as some of the other domed sapphire offerings, for example. This one's kind of halfway actually between a dome and a boxed shape. You can see here it comes up slightly and then goes somewhat flat in the center. Now, one thing it is very good at is legibility. That's one advantage of mineral over most sapphire crystals, and absolutely no problems whatsoever reading the dial on this one. Now, one shortcoming of these Bambinos is they do only have very basic water resistance. It's listed as 30 meters, which really sounds better than it actually is. I also noticed here it says made in Thailand, a bit like some of the Seiko watches. These aren't actually made in Japan, despite the company being based there. Thailand are very capable of producing some excellent watches. Some of the best made I've actually ever come across have been from Thailand, as being from Wise Watches. So the industry over there is certainly improving all the time. Now, I'll look at the other colour variants in a second, but for now we'll just get you those measurements, and I'm intrigued to see if it varies at all from the previous watches. Got a listed diameter here of 38.4, and yep, almost exactly 38.4 for me. Lug to lug on this is 44.3. Thickness, if you include that pretty high crystal, is 12.6 at the center, but without it, that's going to be heavily reduced down to about 9 millimeters. With the lug width, by the way, that's much friendlier than previous Orient watches of 20 millimeters. That's one advantage these have over some of the bigger ones, which have some awkward odd lug widths. This one you can change the strap, and you may want to. Now, the straps have always been a bit of a pain point with Orient watches, especially previous iterations of the Bambino were always kitted out with these croc bands that were extremely stiff, and they had a pretty cheap lining, but in recent years they've improved on that slightly. You can see this certainly isn't super stiff by any means, and the lining definitely feels better than it used to be. It could be placebo effect, maybe because loads of other watches are getting worse, but no, this does feel just about usable, I'd say. It's also got plenty of adjustment holes, got quick release tabs on there too, and yeah, no real squeaking on this one either, which used to be commonplace. It's more a matter of, do you like the aesthetic of these? Because I do think that for many of the Orient watches, their selections have been a little bit questionable, like their pairings with the watch dials. We'll see a couple of them coming up, but yeah, straps are probably passable actually. Here's a look at it on my small 6¼ inch wrist, and as you can probably tell, this has always been my go-to size really. The bigger Bambinos, like the standard models, I think they're closing in around 41 millimeters wide, and they do wear significantly bigger than this, whereas these 38mm ones are just about passable for my skinny wrist. Slimness, really not a problem with these, nice and flat to the arm, and not too bad as far as side profile goes either. Now, I should point out here that this strap is actually dark brown, because on camera it kind of looks like it's almost black here, but no, it is just a very dark brown. And at the time of recording this, these watches are currently on a slight discount on the TUS Watches site, down to £265.50, and that's shipped internationally. So yeah, if you did take them up on the 15% off offer, that'd be a fairly substantial further discount. Let's take a quick look at some of these other models here too. So then there's two other kind of standard models, as well as one limited edition over there. One of the more unusual options is this green one. And while I do like this shade of green, the copper just isn't really doing it for me, never really has done. Yeah, it's really like a rose gold, and I just don't have anything that would pair with that. I would like to see them maybe come out with a green with just silver accents instead, and that might go down better. One cool little almost Easter egg that they've done on these Orients actually is that on these ones with these rose gold accents, you'll see that not only are the markers and hands displayed in that colour, but the logo there too, the two little lions or whatever they are also shown in rose gold at the top. That's quite cool, and not something you see all too often actually. And you can see what I mean about the selection of straps here. So it's like the same strap again as the previous watch. I'm just not convinced it's the best match for this. I really feel like some sort of mid-grey suede band would really go with this green. They have done a good job of the sunburst. It does make the watch look more expensive for sure. Still one of the most expensive looking budget watches, I would say, even if they're not as cheap as they once were. Let's have a look at the other one now. This cream one is typically among the best sellers, and I think that's because it looks like the best one online, but in the flesh I'm not quite so convinced. I personally think the silver one looks better, and that's because the cream on this, as you can see, has like a slight green tinge to it. I mean, it's still mainly cream, but it's not the kind of cream that I'd particularly be yearning for. And right now, maybe some eczema cream would help me out there. This one does perhaps give you the most vintage look of all. Almost looks like the whole dial has got some patina to it. But yeah, I think in person, when you got the two side by side, especially with the light falling on it in different angles like this, I do think the silver is the way to go for sure. Looks a lot cleaner. But there's also another one that's temporarily available, a limited edition version of this No Date Bambino. And this is peculiar, really peculiar, because they've actually, I guess, taken on some of my advice there, as they've changed some of the markers on this particular one to silver, but then kept the rose gold handset. Really not sure about that one. And it's a shame, because if they just kept that silver as well, I think I'd like this one a lot. So this is the limited edition grey dial one, and it is considerably darker than the silver. And I also really like the strap on this one. This is like a green croc style band. And it's funny because online this looks like just a straight up grey strap. There's definitely a tinge of green in there, which I think I prefer. But yeah, just not sure about the combination really with those hands. I do like the grey backdrop though. If they ever shifted that to just a completely silver accented watch, I'd probably gun for it. But yeah, this is a limited edition. Does it say how many pieces? 3,300 pieces. So it's kind of like semi-limited. But there's also one more watch in here too. And this one isn't one of those ones with the vintagey detailing on. And this one does have a date, but yeah, I've just never seen a colour like this from Orient before. I thought it was immediately pretty striking. Now this is a 40mm Bambino, I've been told. I think that's actually 40.5 because that's like the standard size for these Bambinos. And it's got this really vivid purple dial. Again, really not sure about the strap combination here, but the purple looks great. And this also looks like one of the models where they've curved the handset here as well, in line with the dial and the crystal curvature they've got. So it's quite nicely detailed, and yeah, love the look of the dial on this one. This one is also made in a bunch of other colours too, but they've slowly been expanding the roster of colours, which is always good to see, because a few years back you had some very basic choices. Now, I'm not sure exactly what I personally wear this with, but I can appreciate the detail all the same. Do you think this would look better on some sort of grey band again, perhaps? Something more neutral that can just let that dial pop and stand out. As for the sizing on this particular one, if you're unfamiliar, I've got the case width here, and actually about 40.6 on this one, with what will be a longer lug-to-lug of 46.6. A thickness with the crystal, maybe thinner actually, 12.3. And if you were discounting the crystal, like the on-wrist feel of the watch in a way, that might actually be a shade under 9mm this time. Not sure exactly why it's skinnier, but I do remember that from the previous ones too. Comparable movements again under the hood here, this one being the F6724, but they're all pretty similar stuff from Orient. And you can see what I mean about the sizing. This one's definitely leaning more towards average, maybe slightly larger wrists too. Does still look nice and slim. Certainly looks luxurious again. I think the Bambino line is probably Orient's best line of watches for me. This one, by the way, lug width, what is that? So yeah, this is one of the awkward ones. This uses the standard Orient Bambino case. It's only a 21mm lug width, which can just be limiting when it comes to third-party strap options. And for this design, that's something I'd maybe want to be experimenting with. But even here, when it comes to actually fitting your wrist, they do a good job of the holes for sure, because there's plenty of them. Now, there's no need for a low light test because, well, these watches don't have any luminescence, but I will have a run with my gem tester tool. On the off chance they've accidentally upgraded this watch, I anticipate if they did switch this to sapphire, it would cost quite considerably more, just because the shape is pretty extreme as far as crystals go. The standard domed sapphires are apparently significantly cheaper to produce, whereas these, they have to almost hollow out a section of sapphire in order to get that steeper shape. But yeah, you should see here the little needle straight into the glass section on there. Push this down. Yeah, confirming that this is indeed mineral crystal and not sapphire or acrylic. So overall, I do like these new watches. I just wish it was like a combination in a way. My perfect Bambino would be if you took the small seconds from this one and then took the No Date from this one, with the case and movement of either of them. I'd love to know which you prefer out of these ones in the comments below. And like I said, if you want to check out any of the watches I've featured today, they're also affiliate linked down there too.